Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Happy Hour Podcast pregame episode. Of course, I'm Ray. I'm here 100% live on YouTube with Psycrotes, who's joining me again today. And man, like it's been one heck of a time. Of course, I just got back from vacation. Most of you who normally join us on a live basis know that our website recently hasn't really had much activity. Neither has our social media, due to the fact that I've been on vacation. So the whole thing is I went to Salem, Oregon. So I'm sorry, not Salem, Oregon, Salem, Massachusetts, which a lot of people get that confused.
There's also Salem, Virginia.
Yeah, there's also it's crazy how many Salems there are. But the whole thing is, dude, if you're talking about insanity, Salem for Halloween is completely insane, like just ludicrously insane when you get to it. I mean, it's just the whole thing of, of course, we're coming to you live 100% on YouTube. And
on a Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah, on a Tuesday afternoon. Isn't that insane?
Is this a House of Pain school show?
Yeah. And of course, just bear with us for 1 second. I'm sharing this around to all of the social media networks, so all of you guys can join us 100%.
Even the people in Salem, Oregon.
Yes, even the people in Salem, Oregon, Salem, Massachusetts, wherever it is. Yes, or put it this way. Yeah.
They've never actually said where Salem is in Days of Our Lives. It's just Salem.
And of course, Saudi Arabia, which apparently, we're super popular with. And what we're going to do is, Psycrotes, of course, you have a couple of poems that you do right here exclusively on the pre-show. So what we're going to do is, of course, we started a little bit early before 3:30, but what we're going to do is, Psycrotes, why don't you get to one of your poems right now?
Okay. Let's see. Which one do I want to do first? Here's one that goes out to a few people that we know. It's called "You're an Indie Wrestler."
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Ready for this one?
Yeah, let's do it.
You only go over because you kissed the promoter's ass. You're all jacked up because you're on the gas. You think you're the man, but you're really just a jabroni. You try to impress chicks by saying, "Yeah, one time I worked Balls Mahoney." You call yourself a world champion, even though you've only ever worked in your hometown. I just wish you would get hit with a running power bomb from D'Lo Brown.
Oh, Jesus Christ. And of course, that relates to the whole thing of D'Lo Brown breaking Darren Drozov's neck with that botched power bomb. So it actually, was there ever, was there footage?
There's no footage of that.
There's no footage of that?
Well, I've looked for it. Well, this was years ago, but apparently because it was on SmackDown. But it was taped. And apparently they deleted everything they had.
Oh, okay.
There's no footage of that, and there's no known footage of Owen's fall.
Apparently there was some there was very slight video footage that fans took
of the fall.
Oh, yeah, back in the days when we would use camcorders and shit like that. But but
there's no real clear footage.
There's no clear footage, and that would just be absolutely insane to see something like that. And
that poem, though, for the record, did that poem remind you of anybody we know?
Not I think I kind of know who you're talking about.
There's like 4 or 5 people.
There's 4 or 5 people. Well, I'm going to sit here and say the one reference. Are you referencing one Butch Hess? Are you 100% referencing Butch Hess?
I'm not going to confirm or deny. All of our fans out there can take a guess, whether or not that.
I mean, we know 100% that you are a huge fan of Butch Hess. That Butch Hess is the favorite guy that you've ever worked.
Just like I'm Al Snow's favorite wrestler, Butch Hess is my favorite wrestler. And I'm wearing the shirt today.
Yes, Psycrotes.
The fans can see
unfortunately, Psycrotes is not on camera because Psycrotes has an issue with
his. I'm a dashing young man. You got to see what's going on. Two life major events, accomplishments have happened in just the last few months for me. You know that, right?
And what's that?
Well, number one, I bowled the best game of my life.
Oh.
255 for the record. And number 2, Al Snow acknowledged the high priest. I don't know if you heard about that, but that did happen.
Yes. And actually I have heard of that. It's kind of funny because you see, I've heard of that, but the fact is is that I was there for it. I was there.
How
Like
could you
you
forget?
ever
You're gonna be telling your grandkids like I was there when Hogan slammed Andre. I was there when Austin won the world title, and I was there when Al Snow acknowledged the high priest.
You ever see the promotion for WWE and it says I was there, and it's the whole thing. It's like I was there, but I was there when Al Snow acknowledged the high priest.
Who else was there? Amazingly and shockingly,
Mike Blair. Yeah, Mike Blair was there.
You know, it's a big event when Mike Blair actually shows up. I mean, that's not an everyday occurrence.
To be fair, Mike did not show up for the first schedule when Al Snow initially feared Psycrotes.
So I had to say a few words, but it's all under the bridge now. We're all good. You want to get to the second poem, or you?
Oh yeah. We got another one. Just let it rip. Just go ahead, let it rip. Of course, this is Psycrotes the Genius Coffee with his next poem that he's going to do right here on our pregame episode.
High Priest Pafo or something like that. Okay. Do you remember a band? I got to give a little context for this one. Do you remember a band called Lost Prophets?
Yes.
Okay. You know what happened to their singer, right?
Not really.
Okay. Well, I'll give a little background. Lost Prophets, they were pretty big about, 10, 15 years ago. Like when Jeff Hardy came back the first time, they used one of their songs in the video.
Okay.
But their singer was a guy named Ian Watkins. And he, back in 2015, he got arrested and sentenced to like 30 years in prison for basically being a pedophile.
Really?
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not going to give any of the details on here, but if you look into it, it was some pretty fucked up shit that he did. Oh. So, of course, back in 2015, when this happened, I had to write a poem about him. And it's called The Ballad of Ian Watkins.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
This one might, put the women and children to bed. Okay.
So if the women and children are watching right now, here exclusively on YouTube, of course, this is not airing on any of our other episodes. Make sure at 4:00 on a Tuesday afternoon, Eastern Standard Time, you put the women and children to bed because Psycrotes is just going to let it rip right here.
The Ballad of Ian Watkins. Ian Watkins fucked a kid. Ian Watkins fucked a beast. If he hadn't been in Lost Prophets, he'd have probably been a priest. Ian Watkins fucked a baby with a little help from his groupies. If he had been in Peanuts, he'd have probably fucked Snoopy. Now he's chilling in the big house right next to Jerry Sandusky. And he can only think about children when he busts his little nutty.
Now he's sitting there chilling with Jerry Sandusky. Now, is he also hanging out with Jared Vogel from Subway? So he might be getting some $5 footlongs as things go on. So
he may indeed.
He may very well. This may very well be what's happening. And of course, right here on our pregame episode, we also have the exclusive Urban Dictionary term of the night. So what we're going to do is, of course, it's not night, it's it's daytime, but what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get into our Urban Dictionary term of the night.
We'll do the Urban Dictionary and then we'll do the final poem.
Okay. Yeah.
Hey, you mind putting that over there?
Yeah. The Urban Dictionary term of the day is flaming dill hole. So, flaming dill hole, the definition of a flaming dill hole is a condition attributed to massive amounts of sugar intake. The dill hole, or hole of the penis, starts to burn during urination or masturbation. That's got to be terrible. Like, not as much peeing, but when you masturbate, just the burning sensation for it. It says to relieve this common ailment, squeeze the shaft or tip of the penis and force out urine. So you're going to squeeze the head of your dick so hard until you squeeze it.
Trust me, it is not fun. Because what happened was, oh God, I took a dose of, I can't remember what it's called, Suboxone. I don't know what that is.
I have no idea.
It's a drug that they give people that are trying to wean them off of heroin.
So were you being trying to?
No. What happened was I was hanging out.
This just sounds like a good idea. I'm just going to take some of this today.
I was hanging out with this thought, and we smoked a bunch of weed. And she had a Suboxone strip. It's like a little strip you put on your tongue, kind of like an LSD thing.
Okay.
And she's like, "Hey," she's like, "I got the Suboxone strip." I was like, "I've never done that before." She's like, and this, keep in mind, like in my younger days, I'd have just took it. You hand me drugs, I'm not going to say no. Instead of just say no, it's just say yes. But I was like 36 when this happened. This was like 4 years ago. So she's like, all right. She's like, here's this strip of Suboxone. She's like, but I'm going to tell you, don't take the whole thing. You'll get really sick. Just take like a little piece of it.
Okay.
And you'll get a good buzz for a couple of hours. So of course, me being the genius that I am, I took the whole thing. And for the next 24 hours, I couldn't stand up because I was so fucking sick. And I don't know, if you're familiar with this, but when you take too much opiates, it bounds up not only your shit, but also your piss.
Oh, no.
So I'm sitting on the toilet and I couldn't pee, but I knew I had to pee because I drank like 4 glasses of water. So I'm on the toilet and I'm like squeezing my junk like it looks like I'm jerking off, and I'm just trying to pee. And like 3 drops come out. And it was sad. It was so sad.
You're crying.
I didn't know whether to come or cry. And then I didn't shit for 5 days. So children watching the podcast, here's a little piece of advice. Don't take Suboxone.
and speaking of that, it says right here that in the definition, so it says it should subside rather quickly if you have a flaming dill hole. So you pretty much had a flaming dill hole. It should subside rather quickly. You could also dip your dill in hot water. Caution, it may be a little painful. Well, I would imagine if you dip your burning penis in hot water, that would basically someone put a preview sentence and it pretty much said, dude, I had like 20 sodas last night. I had the worst flaming dill hole of my life. Now, here's the thing with the Suboxone, going back to that. Now, you said you were with a thought. Now, could you have very well have stuck the Suboxone on the bottom of your penis? And then when you slapped it down on her tongue, it slaps the Suboxone onto her tongue. And like Suboxone literally becomes like a boxer. You're punching the Suboxone onto her tongue. So that's just
there's an Amity song called Like Love, and he says drop it on the tongue like love. That would have been drop it on the tongue like fucking death.
Drop it on the tongue like you're gonna die from the Suboxone.
You know, it was amazing though, like right after I took the Suboxone, for some reason I was like, that was a bad idea.
Oh, so I went online. Where would it be a good idea? At what point would it be a good idea?
Well, I went online and I looked up what the dose was, and I was like, how much? I literally typed into Google, how much Suboxone can kill you?
Yeah.
And I can't remember what the dose was, but it was like, if you take this much, it'll probably last like 24 hours. And amazingly, like it was almost exactly like 24 hours.
Really?
And then I started feeling like good again. It was amazing. It's bringing back bad memories. It really is. It really is.
Oh my God. And of course
I was high. To be fair, I was high for like an hour. And then I fell off a cliff.
Like you legit fell off of a cliff, or you mentally fell off of a cliff?
Physically and mentally.
You probably could have fell off of a cliff and hit the ground.
I'm listening to like until it sleeps, and then next thing you know,
until it sleeps.
Until I slept. Yeah, I didn't sleep much that night. No, I did not sleep much that night. And then I puked. That was that. You know what? That was the last time I puked. Actually, if I remember, that was the last time.
Really?
I puked, yes.
Oh, and of course you have one more promo, right?
That's right.
Yeah. I don't want to,
because it's a trifecta. Now.
Buy 2, get 1 free.
Exactly.
That's the way this works.
I don't know how you can top Ballad of Ian Watkins.
I mean,
it's kind of, where do you go from there, right?
Yeah. Like, I mean, where does this show possibly go from there? I mean, who would have ever thought that you would hear anything like the Ballad of Ian Watkins on the Happy Hour podcast?
That made I prank call to make a wish kid and told I was John Cena. That made
I mean, that's the thing. Just hope that the girl who's trying to out Dave Chappelle, who apparently has all this dirt on her, never hears or sees our program, because then she'll be like, oh my God. And it's like, well, you've said and done way more offensive shit than what we have. You ever notice that's the way it works? People who have said and done way more offensive shit are the ones who try to out everybody. So yeah.
Virtue signaling like a motherfucker.
Anyways, a little bit of a drum roll. And take it away, Psycrotes.
Okay. You know what? I don't know what the third one's going to be. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to go to the first one that pops in my head. Because I know I had to. All right, let's see. I got to think, because like I've literally got thousands of them, but I got to find ones that are actually appropriate for this show. I don't want to bring the mood down by talking about, I cut my wrist.
Yeah.
Okay, here's one. Color Me Dead. Here's one called Color Me Dead. Because it's like a nursery rhyme.
It's like a nursery
rhyme. Seroquel is yellow. Slit wrists are red.
Oh,
I have depression and I wish I was dead. Her hair was blonde. Her heart was black. Right now she's probably got some other guy's dick in her ass crack. The grass is green. The dirt is brown. The casket is closed, and it's the first piece I found.
So this is pretty much a poem about that poor prostitute that's dead in your backyard, because that's what I'm thinking. And I'm like, actually, you know what? No. This is Psycrotes' confession in the form of a poem. That's what this is right now.
Well, I wrote that one in 2017, It's actually about another girl. I'm not going to mention names, but
Okay.
if you listen to the podcast,
Does it begin with a J and end with an L? Because I'm thinking it's
quite possible.
Okay. So pretty much you already have her casket picked out. That's pretty much what you're saying.
No, I'm in the casket. You know, in the end, I'm in the casket. She's getting fucked by some other guy in the ass.
But also, you said that you weren't going to bring the show down, and as soon as it starts off, it's like, oh yeah, slit wrists are red, and it's like, what the fuck? I'm not going to bring the show down. Meanwhile, I'm going to talk about killing myself and laying in a coffin and this prostitute that I murdered. Like,
I could have done girl in a grave. Think about her too. That's a real. You know,
well, I mean, either way, it involves a grave, so you might as well just go ahead with it.
I just mentioned it, so might as well. It's like a sequel. It's like Halloween Kills.
Yeah.
It's like Let the Ocean Take Me in Misery. Okay. You know, I had to get an Amity reference in there.
Yeah.
All right, girl in a grave. Oh fuck, that bitch ripped out my heart, and now I hope she chokes on it while gasping on her deathbed and wallowing in her own shit. Her pretty little face wastes away as the maggots feast on her skull. Leaves blanket her headstone as it welcomes the chill of fall. Once the object of desire, anyone would kill to be her man. Now a girl in a grave, another washed away grain of sand.
Jesus,
ladies and gentlemen, there you are.
So what I'm going to do real quick, we still got about another 20 minutes before we're joined live by SoHo Johnny.
You people got four. You people got 4 poems.
Yeah, 4.
What other podcast are you gonna get this kind of value from?
I mean, they should be appreciative.
They should.
You're sitting there, spilling your soul and your thoughts, your twisted, demented thoughts for our viewers and our audience. And like, I'm going to go back to Salem. So we went to Salem, Massachusetts, and you're
going to go back to Salem? Do I have to do the rest of the show by myself then?
No. Yeah, I'm going to get up right now and we're going to leave right now and drive. It was so fun. I mean, man, there was thousands of people there, and of course, my beautiful wife, she did a witch, and her cousin did a warlock. So, and then I did, like, it took them a little bit to figure out what costumes they wanted to do. So I did Michael Myers from Halloween Kills, which actually is sitting right here, is the very mask that I had from Halloween Kills. So, I did that. And it's crazy how many people took photos with me. Because, I mean, you look at it, it's like I'm a bigger guy. Like, I'm 260 pounds. So I'm in that jumpsuit. I'm walking around. And, like, I saw a lot of other Michael Myers. But you got to realize I'm a wrestler. I'm a worker. So, it's the kind of thing that there were a lot of other people in the costumes, but they weren't working the gimmick. And it's like, I was one of the only people walking around that was working the gimmick. Like the way he walks, and he walks with his knife, like facing, like the way he holds the knife in his hand and all that. And like, anytime someone will be like Michael, I would just slowly like turn my head and like look over at him, the way he does. Like there was a news camera there. And I did the same thing. Like I walked by the news camera and I stopped and I just slowly turned and looked at the news camera or whatever. So people were taking pictures. I remember I took pictures with, you remember I had the inflatable dinosaur costume? Oh, yeah. Someone had that and someone came over, they're like, can he get a picture? So I put the knife up to the inflatable dinosaur's neck or whatever.
My profile picture on a wall of Facebook was you in the dinosaur costume and me as Tobias from Ghost.
Yes. And it's funny because we were there.
And the caption was, the singer of Ghost and a dinosaur.
Anything in a dinosaur is great. Oh, yeah. And we're in downtown Salem. So we're in the main part of the circle where it's completely congested. And you have this fucking God-bearing dude, like this dude from like a church who's sitting there saying how like evil everything is, and we're all gonna burn in hell for celebrating Halloween.
After this, I'm gonna tell a story about a guy like that.
And so we're all sitting there, we're looking, we're like, dude, wrong place, wrong time. So you have like thousands of people like saying fuck you to this guy. And then there was a restaurant that we ate at called Gula Gulas. And they had drag queens there, which was awesome. I don't know if you've ever seen a drag queen show, but it's one of the most awesome shows I've ever seen in my life. And anybody watching at home, if you haven't went and seen a drag queen show, definitely go do it. It's awesome. But it was also kind of fucked up because they were doing all that and saying how if you were gay or whatever, you should burn alive and burn in hell and all that stuff. And I'm just kind of like, well, now we know why they're here.
Maybe that was his Halloween costume. He was an apocalyptic preacher.
Yeah. I doubt. But there was this guy. guy that was playing drums on like buckets, and
was he with the preacher guy?
No, he was across the street. So every time he would talk, he'd be like as hard as he could into his microphones and all that, try to drown him out. But
did he have like a big sign like the Westboro Baptist Church?
Oh yeah, he had giant signs. It was like maybe 5 or 6 people, and it's like,
please tell me he had like the Jimmy Hart megaphone he was talking through.
Yes, he did. It was a megaphone through a microphone. Nice. Like he was holding a microphone, but he was
like
talking
Scott Weiland. That's
yes, that's exactly how it was. But it's the kind of thing. It's like, dude, I don't think anybody is going to join your cause. Nobody's going to join your cause. While they're down here for Halloween, like it's just it's not going to happen. But no, so you said you had a story about something like that. So what?
I had to bring this up because it popped me so hard. I was listening to Cornette's podcast last week or whatever it was, and his co-host is Brian Last, who's a Jewish fellow.
Okay,
and he was talking about how when he was a kid growing up in New York, he had a neighbor, and he used to play with the guy's kid, and like he said, the guy was like the friendliest, like nicest guy he ever met. And then one day he was on the boardwalk, and the guy was on the boardwalk basically doing the same thing you were just talking about. He was like yelling about God and all this shit, gays are going to burn in hell. And then, he's like, after that, he's like, I hadn't seen him for a while, Mr. Motherfucker. He's like, and then he fast forwards like 10 years, he was in New York, and he was like working in New York. He's like, so I get off the subway or whatever, I'm walking down the street, and there's a guy like right on the side of the street, like yelling. It's one of those guys again. Yeah. He's like, I look a little bit closer, and it's him. He's like, and the first thing I hear him say is, and the Jews. Oh, and he's like, you know what? I think I'm going to turn around and walk the other way today.
Like, I mean, dude, I don't get it, because it's like, I'm one of those types of people that I'm like, you can be whatever the fuck you are. I don't care. Yeah. But I'm also one of those types of people that when I got married, I had my best friend's aunt marry us, and she practices witchcraft, and her whole family has always done seances and shit like that. And she was ordained. And I'm like, I'm sure that if I have her marry us, there's not going to be any church at all in that wedding. And sure enough, it wasn't. It was like, do you take him? Do you take her? Blah, 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 this, that, another. And it was literally like 10, 15 minutes done, because I hate going. And this even goes out, even if I know people who have done this, and I apologize, but I hate going to wedding receptions or weddings that turn into church sermons. Oh, yeah. I don't fucking care about your beliefs or your religion or anything like that. I'm coming to support you when you get married. So if you're out there and you sabotage people into coming to a church sermon for your wedding, that's fucked up, because I don't care. And odds are I'm probably going to catch fire anyways and burn inside that place. But also it takes so long. Like it's a 1 hour church sermon. And it's like, come on, get this going. Like our wedding, it was literally like 15 minutes. Let's go dance with our people and have a good time, instead of 1 hour. And then everybody's so blown out, so burned out. And, by the time it happens, that it's just kind of like, come on, guys, like you got to do a lot fucking
weddings
better.
Are not supposed to be about church. They're supposed to be about getting drunk and trying to fuck the girls that came by themselves. And I mean, the bridesmaids, they gotta get some love too.
Yeah, and I mean, the whole thing is when you have a wedding, like yes, it's about you guys, but that's the thing, it's about you guys. Right. Like it's not about what you believe in or anything like that. It's about you. I am coming there for you. I'm not coming there for your church. I'm not coming there for your pastor. I'm not coming there for anything else.
I used to come for the open bar.
Yeah.
Like when I went to Lunar's wedding, I got there early. I got there at like noon. And the only other person that was there was Madman Sam. So I grabbed Madman Sam, because we were sitting at the same table. Yeah. I grabbed Madman Sam like this, and I said, motherfucker, it's you and me. Nobody else is here yet. We're drinking now. Okay. So we started. And we didn't stop until about 11 o'clock that night. That was a long day. Yeah, a long day. And then you know what? Johnny Monster's wedding. I don't really remember it. You know why? Because I took like 4 Percocets.
Yeah, you took 4 Percocets for your wedding.
No, Johnny Monster's wedding was hilarious. You know why? And me and Blood went. We met Monster at his place. Okay. And everybody dresses up at a wedding. Like I'm not a big dress up guy. Like when I went to Lunar's wedding, I wore like a black button down or whatever. Yeah. But when I went to Monster's wedding, I just wasn't thinking I was wearing like a corn shirt, like sweatpants. And Monster's like. He's like, hey man, he's like, if you don't mind, like I got some clothes. Could you like put these on? I was like, yeah, no problem. He gives me a shirt and a tie or whatever. But I look cool because I don't know if you've ever seen when Marilyn Manson was doing the Antichrist Superstar tour. Yeah. He would wear like a black shirt and like a red tie. Yeah. And that was exactly what I had. I had like the black dress shirt and the red tie. So the whole day I was just going around like yelling Marilyn Manson lyrics at people. It was a good time.
And it's funny because I mean, my wedding, we didn't have alcohol. Like, because the expense of it, like the way it was set up, is we had Mission Barbecue cater it, but also like the expense of the wedding, like they were really anal at our venue about doing an open bar. So, you know, we would have had
BYOB.
Yeah,
that's a Dundalk wedding right there.
Well, that's what I did. I told everybody, I was like, bring your own stuff, but drink it in your car. And what me, Blood, and the rest of the guys were doing is we took like Sunkist sodas with us, and we were pouring like gin and vodka and all kinds of stuff in the bottles. Meanwhile, all of the girls were inside the house chugging Jaeger out of the bottle. So we're trying to be discreet, and they're just kind of like drinking the whole time. So, but I mean, everybody had a good time. You know, alcohol got there, you know, and thankfully, you know, it's just, it was a cost cutting thing. I was just kind of like, hey, you know, it routed back to the whole, you're coming here for us type stuff. You know, if we don't have alcohol, hey, sorry for your luck. But, you know, we also had to do what we could afford at that point in time. And, you know, affording that was, you know,
it basically was like a strip club in Pennsylvania you and Blood went to.
Yes.
Bring your own beer.
Yes. BYOB.
Well, you got to pull your tricks, you know, like when I was still drinking, when I used to go to shows at the Baltimore Arena, there's a Days Inn right across the street from the arena.
Yeah. It's always been.
Yeah, I'd go there early. I'd go to the bar in the Days Inn and just start drinking at like 3 p.m. So by the time I got to the concert, I could barely walk. I'd buy like one beer at the arena and I was good.
Well, I don't know if
there was one time though, I went there. I'm trying to remember which show it was. I want to say it was maybe Lincoln Park. It was Lincoln Park, I believe. I was seeing that.
Okay.
It was like 08. I go in the bar and there's like this like totally disheveled like guy who was like my age. I was 26, 27 at the time.
Disheveled, you say?
Very disheveled, yes. And he had his girlfriend with him.
Very disheveled young man.
Yeah, and she was kind of hot. And apparently they were homeless. And they were just like hanging out in there. And this guy kept trying to get money off me. He kept trying to bump. Like I was.
If
drunk.
this doesn't end without you banging a hot homeless chick, then just end the story.
I attempted to. So
fair enough.
I was like, you know what? I'll buy you guys a drink, whatever. We're hanging out. You know, let's have some fun. I got some time to kill before the Lincoln Park show. And here's a quick preamble to this story. Like 5-6 days before this show, I almost died of a blood infection.
A blood infection?
Yeah, I got sick because I was out in the rain.
Oh, so is it kind of like sepsis or whatever?
No, what it was, I got caught out in the rain. It was like freezing rain. It was wintertime.
Gotcha.
And I got a real bad, not a pneumonia, but like an infection. I was in the hospital. And literally 3 days after I got out, I did a fucking hardcore match with Blood.
Oh, Jesus.
So, you know, I'm sure that went a
Yeah.
But then like a few days after that, I had the Lincoln Park thing. And I was like going through alcohol withdrawals because I hadn't drank in like 3 days, which at the time was, you know, unheard of.
Yeah.
So anyway, I had the Lincoln Park show on like a Tuesday, and I go and I'm drinking with these fucking homeless people at the Days Inn. And the guy got up to go do something. I think he went up to get on his phone, or I'm talking to the chick, and I'm like, hey, you know, your boyfriend, he seems like a pretty cool dude, but I actually, you know, I'm not homeless. You know, if you want to come back with me. I was like, you know, I'm going to see Lincoln Park, but after that, I'm free. And unfortunately, before I could complete my mission, the guy walked back in. So
I mean, that's the thing. It's like you wouldn't even have had to take her to your house. Like she's homeless. So if you would have been like, hey, we're going behind that dumpster back there, you know, it wouldn't have mattered because, you know, it would have been like her going like in the back bedroom or, you know, something like that.
Right. And, you know, the thing was, it was like, I went to the Lincoln Park show and, you know, Jay and I having a great time jamming out. And I'm like, you know what? Today's a good day. I didn't bang the homeless chick, and that's probably for the best because I probably would have caught something. I probably would have broken my streak because I don't know if you know this. This is like an amazing fun fact. I don't know how the fuck.
You have a streak of banging homeless chicks?
I've never had an STD.
Oh,
which for people who know me, that's kind of shocking when you think about it.
That actually is pretty fucking shocking.
And if I would have banged that chick,
have you never had one, or have you never been tested for one and you just don't know that you have one?
Well, I've never had one that I'm aware of.
Okay.
But, you know, if you've got a serious one, you're going to know you have.
Yeah.
You know.
So you could very well have the HIV, but you don't know that you have the HIV.
But no, I'm like, you know what? If I would have banged that chick, I might have broken my streak that day. I might have gone to see Lincoln Park with herpes 1 like forming in my lungs, you know?
So wait. So are you telling me, you're telling me right now that she could have potentially had STD only because she was homeless?
Not only because she was homeless, also because she was banging this guy that looked like fucking Baron Corbin before he won the money. That's who he looked like.
Baron Corbin.
When he was homeless Corbin. That's what he got. I swear to God, he was like taller. He had like the balding hairline. It was like Baron Corbin before Baron Corbin existed. And the chick, like, she was kind of hot. Like, she wasn't bad. I'm not gonna lie.
Do you know why? Because they were probably drug addicts, and that's
Oh,
the
they
thing.
were
And
definitely drug
addicts will do anything.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they will lose everything, and it's like
Well,
it's
no, here's
bad
what the guy asked
because,
me. He
because
said-
it's like in one instance you're hot.
Yeah.
Once you're done with the drugs, what the hell happened to this person? That's
Oh,
you know,
yes.
yeah.
I've known a few like that. Have you ever
from,
seen the?
from hot chick to Psycrotes? Like, I don't understand. You know, there's
Have you
no
ever seen
point
the,
in
have you,
between.
have you ever seen the memes like before meth, after
Yes,
meth?
yes. It
So
was like that.
This chick right now, if she's still alive, it's definitely after meth.
Oh yeah.
But no, the
Yeah.
guy was like, he kept asking me, he's like, bro, he's like, we're trying to get a bus to Virginia. He's like, could you just give me like $4 for the bus to Virginia? I'm like, $4 to Virginia?
Yeah.
I was like, you're gonna take
You're
that,
not going to get anywhere.
yeah,
You're going to
take
go.
that
You're
$4 and buy a pint of Jack. is what
yeah,
you're gonna do.
my $4 is going to contribute to your death. So how about now? And the worst is when you make eye contact with someone, you know,
Yeah.
fucking at, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And real quick,
What happened
SoHo
was-
Johnny is coming through into the room. So we're going to go ahead and admit him in.
But when I was hanging out with these people,
Yeah.
I drank 5 White Russians in like 90 minutes.
Oh my God.
So when I went to the concert,
You drank, wait. So you drank 5 White Russians
yes,
back to back,
in
like
less than
consecutively.
2 hours. Yes,
Dude, I don't even like White Russians, much less being able to drink 5
Dude, White
White
Russians are amazing.
Russians.
They're like a milkshake. They're
Back
like
to
an alcoholic
back.
milkshake.
Dude, I don't know. Like, you know, some
Have you seen The
people.
Big Lebowski?
I have seen
That's
the
where
Big
I got it from
Lebowski.
because that's
Yeah.
my favorite movie.
Well, it's funny because people used to call me the dude because I
Oh.
used to work at
Oh, that's right.
at a bowling alley for 5 years.
Right.
So, but that's the thing. It's like, dude, like, I
I
don't know. I can't do White Russians.
Really?
I can't.
Really?
Like, it just
That
not
was
for the
prob-
life of me.
honestly, White Russians were probably my favorite drink when I was drinking.
Really?
Other than
Well, really,
wine-
you-
well, as far as like hard liquor, like wine was my favorite drink, but hard liquor was definitely White Russian.
Really? Oh,
But I drank 5 of them.
Fair
and I'll
enough.
tell you what, I went
Fair.
to that show, and as soon as Lincoln Park came on, I was
Oh yeah, that was young Lincoln Park too, wasn't it?
yeah, it was like
early.
08. Yeah, it was like 08. Yeah.
Man.
Well, I saw them when they first came out. I saw them in like 01,
Yeah.
but this was like 08. This was right after Minutes to Midnight came out.
Really?
That was that
Okay.
tour.
Okay.
Yeah, and you know what's amazing about that show? If you ever listen to the song "Give It Up," which is like actually my favorite Linkin Park song, there's a scream that Chester does in that song. It's really like a
Yeah,
45-second scream. I was like, there's no way he's gonna pull it off live. Like he can do it in the studio. There's no way he can do it live.
Yeah.
He fucking did that shit live.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he nailed it. He
Yeah.
fucking nailed it. It was
Well,
amazing.
what's funny is Record Theater. Record Theater
Oh,
is
yeah,
back
yeah,
home and operating.
yeah.
They are bringing in fucking Buck Cherry.
Oh,
Like that's the thing, and it's like that's a huge band
oh, yeah.
but they're doing it because, and hopefully they do it with other bands because Buck Cherry, one of the first times they ever performed in Baltimore
Mhm.
was at Record Theater.
Right, right.
So hopefully they do it. It'd be nice for them to do it with like Five Finger Death Punch
Oh,
because
that'd
that's
be
where I
sweet.
saw
Oh, yeah,
Five
dude, we'd
Finger
have to go to that one.
was, you know, at Record Theater.
Oh, you
I
saw
don't
them at
remember it
Record?
because I was drunk as hell and we
Oh.
tried to steal a fish.
That's right. Yeah, you told me that
yeah,
story on
yeah.
the podcast.
So, you know, that's the thing. It's like, but that will be cool if they start, you know, going
oh,
through
hell yeah.
and doing a lot of that
You know
stuff.
who they're not going to bring in though?
Who's that?
Little callback here. Lost Profits.
Yes, they will not bring in Lost Profits, and they
Not
also
anytime soon.
will not be bringing back Linkin Park because
Unless
I
they
think
get a new
Linkin Park was
singer.
there when they were. You know what? You can't replace Chester.
You know
That's
what?
the thing.
They
Like,
can't replace Chester, but I think they will eventually. Because dude, Alice in Chains lost Lane.
yeah,
And they went on.
dude, I don't know. Like,
AC/DC lost Bon Scott.
you know what though? I feel like if anything, they just go on and bring back Fort Minor because you know Fort Minor was good for what it was, but Chester's one of those types of guys that he's very, very, you know, irreplaceable.
Yeah, you can't replace. Him.
Yeah, and I mean, and what we're going to do is in a few momentarily we're going to be wrapping up our pregame episode, which is our, you know, our preview of what's to come. Of course, we will be live at 4:00 right here still on YouTube, and also we will be airing for everybody that will be hearing us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, wherever else you find your podcasts. You know, that will be the official recording of that as well. So make sure you stay tuned, and we will be live still at 4:00, and our special guest SoHo Johnny will be joining us as well.
Yeah, I was going to say not to cut you off, but I was going to tell real quick because it's hilarious in a dark way. But I told the story before about how I was writing the fucking lyrics to the Linkin Park song.
Yeah.
When I was in the hospital the night that he killed himself.
Yeah.
Which was like such a weird coincidence. And then I swear to God, like, you know, a little call back into the poetry. I'm not going to recite the poem, but I was writing a poem maybe like 3 or 4 months ago, and it was called Chester's Ghost. It was about Chester.
Okay.
And I swear to God, I had music choice on the TV in the background.
Yeah.
And I swear to
Linkin
God,
Park started playing.
I'm not making this up. As soon as I started writing that poem, a Linkin Park song came on.
Oh.
I'm like, he's talking to me, man.
That's weird. That's weird the way that works.
Isn't it?
And thinking of stuff like that, someone says like, when you talk about something, like I talk about buying a new lawnmower, and I look on Facebook and there's ads for new lawnmowers, and I'm just kind of like, I know you fuckers hear everything that's going on. And it's funny, like my dad used to, when I was a kid, my dad would get really super drunk, like just stupid drunk, and he would put the TV on and he would play music, and he would find commercials or shows or whatever or something, or just random other music videos and play them with that music in the background. And there'd be sometimes that I'd be like, I don't know what the hell he sees, but there'd be sometimes where they would line up so perfectly. Like it would be like
Wizard
Whitney,
of Oz and Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah. It would be like Whitney Houston and a Michael Jackson video. And it's just kind of like, how the hell is it? Like, how does this line up?
That's drunk powers.
Yes.
My dad used to, my dad was drunk all the time too before he got sober. And he had like, because he was an older guy, he was born in 1930. Yeah. So he had like those old, expressions people use, like old expressions. And some of them were entertaining. There was one I never understood though. I don't know where it came from, but whenever I would do something stupid, he would say to me, "Boy, you could fuck up a Chinaman's funeral." What?
And you there, buddy?
Okay, I don't know if they're talking.
Click that.
Nope, I think he's still trying to get connected. Of course, we will be joined momentarily by SoHo Johnny. I think he's still trying to get connected here on Zoom. And then we will be rocking and rolling. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start our regular episode. This concludes our pregame episode. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Happy Hour podcast. Of course, I'm Ray. Psycrotes is back. He's joining me this week. I am back from my vacation in Salem, Massachusetts.
All right,
so we went to Salem for Halloween. And our featured guest tonight is SoHo Johnny. I believe SoHo Johnny is still trying to get connected to his audio and video software.
Okay, what's that? On this?
Be right here.
All right, good.
And we will be joined by him moments. Oh, hey, look, there he is. How you doing, man?
How's everybody doing today?
Good. Of course, I'm Ray, and off camera is my co-host Psycrotes. Of course, welcome to the Happy Hour podcast. We're going to get right into it, man. Of course, you know Aline Shapiro and Jimmy Star. Of course, Jimmy Star we had on last week. Aline Shapiro is coming up on Friday. How did you get hooked up with those guys? Of course, you just had the 9/11 gala with a bunch of people that we had on the show recently as well. How did you get involved with all the stuff you do, man?
It's been an interesting journey in my life. It's hard for me to not to get into it without getting into my history. Okay, I'm brought up in the Big Apple, New York City. And my mom was into entertainment. I mean, she wasn't a big star or anything, but she always had music on in the house. And my dad was a humanitarian, hardworking guy. And I was a nervous kid as a child. Okay, I used to stutter in school.
Oh man!
Eventually, I had lost my mom to COVID last year, and I mentioned that. No, thank you. But as I was going through pictures and everything, I realized at an early age, this nervous kid that I saw all these pictures because she would hoard them. And I was an entertainer even back then, always the practical joker. I used to get in trouble in grammar school, and I used to get detention and everything. I would bring in all these different things, like a laughing box or things. And it was really, really a trip. And it's funny how you learn more about yourself, the person you are, and how you've been evolving in life. So eventually, my parents moved to the Boogie Down Bronx, which was like a very devout cultural education. I find myself fortunate. It's like having two educations in one, seeing how people from all different diverse backgrounds would come together and work together. Fast forward, I was, I would kind of like, they eventually got a house in the Bronx, and they got a garage in the back. Now, I had a reputation in school and the neighborhood as being this kind of, as I say, jokester or whatever, and always looking to make people smile and laugh. It didn't matter if I made laughing, as long as they're laughing with you, but just kind of like creating that type of environment.
Having a good time, pretty much.
Right. And it just came, and it emanated from a nervous energy within inside me. I realized this now. I was this nervous kid, and I would manifest it by connecting with people, that umbilical cord. And eventually they got this garage in the back, and it just sort of became a hangout because I would get like, we're talking back in the 70s now.
Yeah.
A phonograph, a little stereo system, strobe lights, whatever. And it became kind of like kids at school. And understand, back in the Boogie Down Bronx, back in those days, they was on the street and everything,
Yeah.
And all my friends, and I just got a name in the community, the kids would just come there after school. And the other family, the other parents were kind of happy because they're off the street. They said, oh, they're at John's parents' house, you know?
Yeah.
And it kind of was like a mini nightclub. And segue from there, I started DJing, not big time, whatever. Then I always had that reputation. Fast forward again, quantum jump forward. My dad was in a business, 3 generations going back in SoHo. So I had a nickname like SoHo Johnny was one of my nicknames. So that kind of resonated with me.
So you kind of kept that through when you started doing all this. Like, it's kind of funny because a lot of actors do that. And also I have the pro wrestling background. So a lot of guys that nicknames that they would have as kids, they would end up like, for example, The Miz. The Miz called himself The Miz way before he was ever in WWE and, carried it on. So yeah, cool. I respect that.
I love it because it's kind of a sense of authenticity, right? As to really the person that you are, and you project it out to the audience or whatever, to the public. But then, just going forward from that, my dad had a trucking business, several generations, SoHo Johnny, as I said, SoHo Johnny. But then, my dad died from cancer about 27 years ago. And, I was already having these events like family reunions or whatever. And I took it a few notches up. I said, why don't I do something with it? I brought in some more professional talent and then started doing more upscale shows and raise money for American Cancer Society. And that kind of, if I have to pick one point in my life, that nervous energy, that was kind of an aha moment for me.
Yeah.
And, kind of segued a little bit more into the entertainment world. And then I started chugging along doing shows. And, then years later, I got involved. I started building an entertainment platform. Then I picked the name SoHo Johnny and, have a few music labels now. And it just kind of morphed into itself. And I've done these shows. And along the way, I've met, and listen, the gratitude really belongs to my team around me. Like you mentioned, 2 of them, Eileen and Jimmy, they're superstars, they're champions, and they help me. John Valesco, many, many great people I've met along the time just by combining charity and entertainment. And as I said before, that umbilical cord you have, that passion you have as being kind of a performer to connect with the audience and elevate people a little bit out of their lives and put a smile on their face and give them a sense of entertainment.
Yeah. And when you said that, like pretty much like I'm kind of the same way. Like it's crazy because when I met my wife, like and even like she's kind of a little bit more reserved, like she can't talk to people as easily. Me, I'm just boom, just like that, I can talk to anybody.
Crazy son
yeah,
of a-
yeah. And I mean, and that helps me with the podcast as well, is that and I think what it is it's that negative, as you said, as a kid I was bullied for being overweight or whatever, and it's like I took all that and I filtered all that in. It's like, well, you know what, I'm relaxed with everybody. It helped me with pro wrestling. It helped me be able to get in front of however thousands of people in the crowd and be able to perform live and relate to people what I need to say and what I need to do. And it also helped me transition into doing something like this or being in front of a camera. A lot of people notice I'm very animated when I talk, certain things I do. And I'm like, well, I'm used to being in front of a live crowd. That's why I like to do, YouTube live, Facebook live, because I'm used to that live element. I'm not used to having something with a script. Like, a lot of people come on our show and they're just kind of like, well, you guys just don't ask the generic questions. You guys not only ask questions, but you also tell your own stories as well. And it's like, well, that's the thing. Like, pro wrestling, it's like, okay, we may say in the back, okay, well, we're going to do this, and this. But then once you're out there in front of a live crowd, you forget that there is no script.
Wait a minute, you didn't write 4-page spots
Yeah,
with Luger?
yeah. And so what it will be is it's like at that point, put in a headlock, okay, we need
Call
to
it in
do
the ring,
this.
brother.
And you got to call it in the ring. So I pretty much, have evolved my whole life around calling it on the fly. And, it's weird because it gets, my wife gets weirded out by it because it's like, we'll go places and I'm like, we don't need to plan for, let's just go do it. And it's like, sometimes you have to plan for stuff, but I'm just kind of,
Well, if you have really bad OCD like me, you kind of have to plan.
Yeah. Now I noticed too, and it's pretty badass. You got one of those bar lights behind you as well. Like I see it's shining right behind you. Of course, for those of you listening, you can't see it, but SoHo Johnny has an amazing illuminated gigantic neon bar light behind him. And of course, this is the Happy Hour podcast. So I love stuff like that. Of course, for those of you joining us live on YouTube or watching us later on YouTube, you're seeing it with us along with it. And I mean, man, like, of course you did the 9/11 gala just recently, and that had Rocky Kramer there. I believe Sherry Nelson was there. Both of them were both on our show. Aline, all that. How did you guys come across with that? And how did that go? Because we had Rocky on not too long ago and he was awesome. We actually have some of his music that we run on our show all the time.
Well, I'd like to say that everything was organized. We did everything well in advance, but usually a lot of times it never works that way.
Yeah.
That was just kind of, and it happens very, very organically with my team. We just, something happens or, well, I mentioned my mom, so let me just tie it in because I started this foundation, okay, called Let Me Help Inc. And I had it on the shelf as I was doing these charity things over the years. And then when my mom passed, just like with my dad, I kind of took that energy and says, let me do something to feel good, something that should be negative. We all have our faith or whatever our beliefs are and just try to do something positive because that's part of life. Nobody's here forever, right?
Yeah.
And so I took it off the shelf and I launched Let Me Help, Inc. It's a foundation. And what the audience may not realize, and I didn't know in the past, is that the difference between a foundation and a foundation can give to different charities. It may be all at the same time. Do an event here, American Cancer Society, tomorrow it could be for muscular dystrophy, right?
Okay.
And I took it off the shelf and we just had, all these different celebrities through different people that we knew around us. And then we started putting the word out and, everybody on that show out of the goodness of their heart contributed and came. I mean, nobody got paid. I mean, that was just like something we're putting together, we're putting it out there. We did it on 9/11 because it happened to fall on a Saturday.
I did see that when you guys were advertising it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was really a trip. And I was, the city has the vaccination card law just came out like weeks before that. So there was a couple of hurdles. We still had like almost like, 500 people, whatever. That
really?
showed up.
That's pretty.
Yeah. It wasn't bad. I mean, 9/11 people a little bit get iffy about being in the city 9/11. So, in retrospect, maybe we wouldn't have done it exactly on 9/11 for that reason. We don't want people to feel uncomfortable, but everything was safe and went seamless and they're all champions. I feel so blessed to be in the middle of it. But the credit doesn't belong to me. It belongs to all of them, the people, the performers that came, the team that we're talking about, my assistant, Gail, Alex McCarthy, all these different people around, all contributed in their own way to try to help Steve Calipe, all these different people came. And then all the celebrities came that made the whole show. And, we kind of pulled it off. I mean, we pulled it off and it was a beautiful experience. And I think, raised some money. I put on social media, because Let Me Help was like the Big Brother Foundation, but the destination funds went to a charity called Operation Warrior Shield.
Okay.
And basically they raise money to help first responders or civil servants that get injured, whatever. And one beautiful thing I love about them, because I did things for Humane Society too, is that they would find like companion dogs for these people.
Really?
Yeah. I think that was so cool to tie in, the animals and, man's best friend type of thing. And it was really was a feel good thing to do. To mix in. Now, listen, it's the time for the business, right? We got time to do business. We got to make money. That's our society. That's our system. But we tie in these things too. So of course, SoHo Johnny as a platform is involved in many other things. Kind of like emerging as a full entertainment platform now.
That's awesome. And of course, when you bring up the Humane Society and the dogs, as a lot of people also forget the part that the dogs also had, in 9/11 as well.
The search and rescue.
The search and rescue dogs. I mean, with putting the responders together with the dogs, and all that, that's that says a lot because dogs took a big part in that as well. And with all the events that you've done and that you've hosted, is there any in particular that stands out to you to be your favorite for any particular reason or anything like that?
Well, that's a great question. They all have like, it's Baskin Robbins, different flavors, right? I mean, they all have like a different flair and had a different taste to it. We did a virtual concert last year. We had to do it virtual. It ended up being a 6-hour show. Same thing, but that made it a little bit easier because people from all over the world chimed in and did something. And we had the foundation had 3 target charities, one for anti-bullying, believe it or not, cooperation with a fellow by the name of an artist, Andrew Cole. He did one small segment of the show. And I think Meals for Wheels, which was for, COVID, to get meals to these people that are sick. and prostate cancer. My buddy Oliver Frund, okay, prostate cancer, and that was a trip. And again, we had either we were allowed to do footage from, or shout outs from, or some performances from everywhere from Ozzy Osbourne to,
Holy crap.
Cedric the Entertainer, CC Peniston, all different genres of music. And of course, when you do it virtually, your world is your audience and your world is your performance as well. And again, just all out of the goodness of their hearts. And it was so heartwarming shout outs. And it was great. We had good ratings, and it was a lot of fun. And so if I had to pick one, I really can't, in all fairness, pick one. But I think we're kind of like building up momentum. And it's kind of like we always kind of outdo ourselves from the last show. And, especially as technology is advancing, as the whole industry is affected, especially the entertainment industry. I mean, look what COVID did to us. We were already getting into virtual, augmented reality, all these different things. COVID kind of just catapulted us. I didn't know what Zoom was. Most of us didn't know what Zoom was before.
We started this very podcast in June of 2020. So this podcast, so this podcast was a COVID baby, pretty much. So I understand with all that.
As opposed to a baby born with COVID.
Which would not be good. Yeah.
I mean, NFTs, I'm supposed to be at a conference because, I'm in SoHo right now. NFTs is a conference I'm supposed to be, but I got sidetracked with other things. But there's a major conference now going on in the city. And that's kind of revolutionizing the industry too. I mean, I could envision NFT experience. For those that don't know, an NFT, non-fungible token, it's tied to cryptocurrency, where you could just watch some type of experience, visual experience. And, I believe that, they're going to sell tickets for events, kind of like NFT tickets, which will like save that experience and capture different moments of, let's say if you saw an Elton John concert when you were younger, you can actually look at it and kind of tie in, not just listening to the music or just looking at a still photography, but also see some of the experiential elements of that show.
And that's cool. Like it's amazing how we're going with that. And it's like, you look at it with some of that stuff. It's like, man, like, as bad as it is, it kind of also opened up a lot of doors, like a lot of doors that we never knew existed for certain things. Like, the way a lot of things work now, like I'm just kind of like, well, I'd rather have some of this stuff remain the way it is. Some things, yes, some things suck, but also some things it's just kind of like, well, now that we do certain things a certain way, like, it's great walking into my office. Like I deliver copiers for a living. It's great walking into my office and there's not like a lot of people there. Like I had to deal with talking to all these people because they're working at home. It's like, now people are starting to realize, oh, well, I can work at home. Like, a lot of times my wife, she's in the medical field, she's a manager, so she can just open up her laptop and work at home. And before a lot of that happened, she wasn't able to do a lot of that. So, it has its flaws, 100%, more flaws than anything, but also it opened all these doors to different avenues of us having to think on our feet and figure shit out as we went along,
Right. I think that, it's very interesting as the trend continues and it just continues to grow. And another kind of parallelism in my lifetime, which I'll add to what I mentioned before, is, I got involved with real estate, obviously in SoHo, and I have a platform called peprealestate.com, PEP, like Peter, Edward, Peter.com. And, my family had acquired these old shacky buildings, but SoHo was such a great, so it became such a great destination. And now we provide experiential for pop-up people. If someone wants to open up a gallery, I've dealt with different leases. I signed a lease with Grace Jones in the 80s. Andy Wall used to hang out one of our places. So I kind of like always had the entertainment over here, and I just had blinders on. So that's another thing that kind of segued, peprealestate.com. We're still, that's where I'm working today. But, I think it's, I think it's an experience. I think, there's always trials and tribulations, and there's always going to be problems, and there's always people less fortunate than us. I wake up every morning saying, I'm blessed. There's somebody suffering more than me, and whatever my problems are, let me get over it and try to put some light out. It depends on how you're at it. I try to start my day with the prisms in my eyes with that, and it makes my day goes and attracts like-minded people, and I try to get that positivity out there. But, in the greatest challenges come the greatest beauty. And what I mean by that is that think about all the greatest artists or composers. I mean, think of the people that could have a handicap, Stevie Wonder. I mean, I was at a show at my buddy Anthony Allen Pellegrino. They have a catering hall called Windows on the Lake out in Lake Ronkonkoma, New York. and they had Nicky Torres experience. And I forgot the fella's name, but he's blind and he's on the keyboard and he's singing great. And I'm saying, who's this guy, Dave? I forget his name. I should mention, I give him a shout. But but you rise above. That's the challenge of the human spirit. That's the beauty of the human spirit. So we always have the ability to rise above, no matter what it is. It's part of what I think is being human. It's part of what gives us the possibility of greatness. Okay. And it comes from a sense of humanity. If we could tie in with the humanity, we could agree to disagree, but also come from a place of wholesomeness and try to, that kind of connectivity. I know I'm sounding pretty philosophical, but I apply to this at everything that SoHo Johnny, anything that I do, and it's done very, very well by me and blessed me.
And, it's crazy because when you were saying that, the only thing, I automatically thought, and, of course, Psycrotes, you as well, is, pro wrestling. Pro wrestling's always been a part of our lives, been a part of my life for 23 years now. So, it's the whole part that, when you talk about, rising up, it's the kind of thing that you have these guys in the ring that are just beating dog shit out of each other just constantly. And it's like, yes, pro wrestling is scripted. Yes, pro wrestling, it's quote unquote fake. However, when you're getting hit with a chair, you're going out there, you could do a charity show for cancer, or you could do a charity show for autism, and you go out there and you leave everything in that ring. And that's the thing. And it's like, you have kids and people with mental disabilities and all that who come and look at you like you're a superhero. Like I've had people, meet me at shows that, acted like I was a Hollywood celebrity, and I'm like, I'm just, I'm just.
Show we did in Pittsburgh, where we went to the home with the kids with disabilities. That was really cool to actually get to go and meet them, and
and I mean, that's the thing that it makes it so much bigger, for them, and just the whole thing of being able to, even if you're a bad guy, meeting someone in the crowd, and it's like, they approach you, and it's like they may be afraid to, but it's like, can I get a picture with you? And it's just kind of like, even if it's the whole thing of, well, you know what, I'll let you get a picture with me, but if you tell anybody else, I'm going to come find you, but you still take the picture. And it's like, it makes, but also it's like, you're still being your character, but you're still doing as much as you can. And I mean, man, like it's crazy. I've been to shows like that. We've done cancer charity shows. I
always enjoyed doing those kind of shows.
Yeah. And the best were school shows. Yeah. We would do school shows because school shows or shows like that were so easy, because you could go out there, you could lock up and literally whip somebody off the ropes and give them a clothesline, and that crowd goes nuts. Mm-hmm. We did shows where, you would be in front of a live crowd and you would literally have to rip your own head off and throw it in the crowd for them to get a reaction. But a show like that, especially with a lot of kids or, with a charity, you sit there, you do one simple thing like a hip toss, they're going nuts. And you're like, oh man, this is going to be an easy crowd tonight. Mm-hmm. And, dude, it's amazing. And I applaud you, being able to do all that. Now with your real estate
you're enjoying yourself, but you're helping people at the same time.
Oh yeah,
which is a cool feeling.
And you always want to help people as much as you can with your real estate stuff. Now, have you ever came across any like property that like you've gotten that you would be able to sell, and like you just kind of looked around and you were just kind of like, what the hell happened in here? Did like a murder happen in here or something? Like, do you flip as well? Have there ever been any property that you've gotten that you just kind of looked around and you're like, what happened in here?
Well, I think neighborhoods gentrify, neighborhoods change as to where, if you're looking to invest. A lot of what I do is commercial leasing.
Okay. So
you don't just buy and sell. That's not really like what we do mostly, but, and mostly all commercial, like, as I say, when I met so many interesting people. I mean, SoHo is like kind of like the nexus of creativity, anything that's here. We just started a new venture, SoHo Innovative Studio, with a fellow by the name of Alex McCarthy. He's on my team, and he's a part of that. And that we tie into culture, gallery, because SoHo historically has been galleries, has been fashion. So we tie into all that and bring it all together. And then we bring a little charity in here. But to answer your question, I think neighborhoods always change. And I think, the big question here that affected everything, how did the pandemic adversely affected real estate, let's face it. Okay. So the prices are lower. I mean, but things are getting better and better. We are fortunate because SoHo is kind of like a small neighborhood with an international demand. So the people that didn't think they could afford SoHo are now coming to SoHo. So we get hit up all day, but I'm blessed that I met so many interesting people in doing what I do with that. And just to go back backtrack to what you were talking about pro wrestling, and I want to know all about that because I love pro wrestling. You don't know that about me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm big, I'm a big historic, legacy wrestling fan. Exhibition on, I don't care. They get knocked out. A lot of times they get injured, but
Do you know Jake the Snake Roberts?
not personally. No, I do not. But
Well, I wrestled Jake the Snake Roberts.
Did you really?
Career,
Oh,
yeah.
that's so cool.
Yeah, we had him on a podcast as well. Al Snow,
Al
we've had
Snow,
on. I've
my
done
old
various
buddy.
seminars with him. So yeah, a lot of big guys
So
in
do
wrestling
you have
now.
a favorite wrestler?
Yeah, who did you like in pro wrestling, or who do you currently?
Well, listen, I'm a legacy guy. Like I go back, of course, Hulk Hogan, who's got a
Yeah.
cage in his back here, talk about real injuries, right?
Yeah.
And Andre the Giant, all the legacy big hitters, and and I still watch it now. I put it on my iPhone, and it's so entertaining to see them knock each other out. Ric Flair, all the originals, back in the day.
And,
But but I love the fact because it's that positive energy that you're putting out, that rah-rah, that energy. It's a form of entertainment like anything else. And at the end of the day, if people are smiling or happy at the other end of whatever the form, whatever the conduit is, that can never be a bad thing. Okay. Nobody gets hurt. It just elevates people, takes them out of their life. And for that moment, that's the beauty of music in SoHo Johnny, because, and for all of us, not SoHo Johnny, because how many times you can listen to a song that could be 20 years ago in your life. And for that one moment, you're in a time machine, and you remember that first kiss. You remember that experience, what you were doing. You remember your dad when he was alive, all these different things. Music is a companion. I tie that with charity a little bit, and that's such a beautiful thing. That tie into the audience. We're all performers, okay, and we're all role models to each other. It doesn't matter if we don't have anything, okay.
That respect goes every which way, Yeah,
you make an impression. It doesn't matter if you have money, don't have money, or what you look like. You walk out. If you're going to interact with someone, you're making a tiny little impression on them. And if you just say something nice, make somebody smile a little bit, that's a tiny little ripple in the universe, and it's positivity. And it's that simple. If everybody, shout out to you guys, okay? Because you guys, even having the show that you have, I was researching you. You're keeping the light on, especially in these dark times that we have. I hate to even say dark times. I'm not.
And I mean, that's the thing. And like you've seen some of our stuff. So a lot of our stuff's very vulgar, over the top. But it's the kind of thing that with our show, like we do it, and I'm like, we live in a world where people get offended very, very easy. But also it's the kind of thing that we're being us. Like, we're being real people, like, nothing we're saying, we mean. It's like, it's comedy, and that's the thing, COVID, like during COVID in England, like London and all that, our numbers went so skyrocketing high, like it was crazy, when everything was locked down, and, it never really has reached that level again. But, it's the kind of thing that we were like, man, if we can make one person laugh, that makes me feel like $1 million. That, someone goes, hey, I had a rough day. Let me put on the Happy Hour podcast. I know those idiots are going to make us laugh in some way, shape, or form. Then my job's taken care of.
If they heard the pre-show today, they might have a laugh.
And I mean, that's the thing. And what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to get into our featured beer, which we've had this for a little bit. Of course, shout out to Union Craft Brewing, Sunburst. It's a sour ale with raspberry and lemon. So for those of you watching at home, it's this big bright pink can, Sunburst on the front. Make sure you go shout out the Heavy Seas Brewing Company, and for all that. And then also we're going to get into our featured shot, which of course our featured shot is from all of our friends. Sherry Nelson, we told her that we had never had Metallica's Blackened Whiskey, so she took it upon herself to send us a bottle of Blackened Whiskey. Make sure you go out and pick up Metallica's new Black album. And real quick, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and what about you, Soho? Do you drink?
Occasionally I do, but that sunny beverage looked very, very refreshing. I wish I had one right now. It sounds great.
And what's your go-to when you do drink?
Well, historically, if I was out back in the day when I'd be clubbing, so to speak, I was kind of like a champagne guy, because something about the bubbly like kind of woke me up rather than put me to sleep. Wine is kind of put you to sleep, right? But champagne, and I'd mix it like with a little, what was that Chambord you put in there? I'm not like an alcohol
Yeah.
connoisseur, you know, but the sherry, the whole 9 yards, the James Bond look, I guess. And I'd have like a few of those at night, and it just elevated me, gave me some energy, and you know, of course, a little less inhibitions there, and just had a good time, you know. But never really a big devout drinker, but you know, it serves a purpose as a modality for something in life, you know.
Yeah, and it's funny that you brought up James Bond because even on the graphic that we had made up for you, like when I saw that photo, I was like, that's very James Bondsy. Like he looks like a James Bond, you know, figure in this because you had to tux on and you know all that. I was like, this is very James Bond look when I saw that photo. So, but what we're gonna do real quick is we're gonna get into our games. It's called Ode to Humanity. So it gets a little off track and kind of goes off the rail a little bit, and some of them can be very over the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with our first game, which is called Name 3. So we're going to start off a little bit easier, and it can be male or female. Name 3 sexy Halloween costumes.
3 sexy Halloween costumes?
Yeah.
Well, there's always the first one right away, bang, that came to my mind is Catwoman.
Okay.
I think that's, you know, and there's been a lot of different actresses over the time that have played a really kick-ass, beautiful, sultry Catwoman. Another one, I would say Wonder Woman. I think the current Wonder Woman, what's her name? Gal Gadot.
Yes.
She's a very attractive lady, and she was a perfect Catwoman. She even looked like the comic book figurine. A third one I would say is I don't know if those of you see, I think it's on regular network television, is Supergirl.
Yes.
I think she does a great job there. I forget the actress's name. I think she does a great job with that series, the whole DC universe, in contrast to the Marvel universe. I'm a big Marvel guy.
I'm a huge Marvel guy too. I can't get into a lot of the DC stuff. It's they make it hard. They make it hard themselves to get into a lot of it. And Psycrotes, what about you? 3 sexy Halloween costumes, male or female?
Okay, you as the dinosaur.
It's me as the inflatable dinosaur. I had a big giant inflatable dinosaur costume a couple of years ago.
I was turned on myself. You was the dinosaur. Sexy. Let's see. Well, of course, like the sexy devil girl. You know,
okay.
Devil
Okay.
the red outfit, and then me as Justin Verlander.
You as Justin. Okay.
I mean, because Justin Verlander's a handsome man. Let's be honest. He's a handsome man.
Yes, he is a handsome man.
So,
Yes.
That would be my top 3.
Mine are a sexy Inspector Gadget. I would love to see and male or female, a sexy Inspector Gadget. A sexy.
Would it be like a coat, like the Inspector Gadget coat, but like
it needs to be the coat, and like their arms are like all stretched out, and like all like you know the whole Inspector Gadget thing, the helicopter with the handles like coming out of the hat and all that. Sexy Inspector Gadget.
Go Gadget boobies.
Yes. A sexy let's see, a sexy devil. Sexy devils are always great, male or female. And then of course, I just got back from Salem, Massachusetts myself. You got to throw in there the old school witch. My wife herself was a witch, and you know her cousin was a warlock. Of course, I was Michael Myers, which didn't fit the mold at all.
But a sexy witch. Took not a witch that didn't burn at the stake.
Yes. A sexy
before they got burned.
Yes. And now the second part is going to be name 3 ways that you would die in a car accident. 3 things that you could possibly do that would cause you to perish in a car accident.
The first thing that comes to mind, get off that phone, stop texting. Yes. Okay. How many people do, and I do it myself sometimes because you're so caught up. How many people have to work? They have to do this. There's something so important in their mind. You had a fight with your wife or your spouse, whatever. Yeah. You know, you got to really do that, because I know I had a buddy of mine that passed away, that died, and he was speeding and he was texting, and the word was that he hit, and he's gone. So it's that simple. It's such a hazardous thing. You've got this, I don't know, a ton of machinery behind you. Just a simple
all the time. I drive a truck, you know, and I see people all the time just on their phones. And I'm just kind of like, come on, man. Like, I can't stop on a dime. You know, you need to just get off the phone. So,
but if your question was 3 ways that I would, if I was going to die in the car, that was the question?
Yeah.
So 3 of my Wow. Well, if I was going to die in a car, I guess I would want to be, knowing my personality, I would want to be in some type of race car
Yes.
then I'm just about to win the Indy 500 or something, maybe that, at least I'll go down in a blaze of
Dale
glory.
Earnhardt.
Yeah, little Dale Earnhardt. Yeah.
Or maybe something with, let's restart the supersonic, okay? And maybe take another test run with that. But,
Nice.
in a car, another way. Of course, it would also resonate who's in the car with me, right?
Yeah.
And, well, I guess I wouldn't want really anybody in the car with me, but, yeah, I guess, the way that I would want to, I would want to have something that would leave something behind, some positivity, something about the car. I'm thinking about, what was that 80s sitcom with the car talk to that guy, Kit?
Oh,
Kit
Knight Rider. Yes.
Knight Rider, okay.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah. I'd like to be some like maybe doing a movie like that. I mean, look what happened today with Alec Baldwin. These crazy things happen. Isn't that incredible, right?
Yeah.
So, this stuff really happens in real life, when you're driving a car and on a set or something. But yeah, so that kind of comes to my mind. You talked about Ode to Humanity. I came out with with Eileen and everything. We came out with a comic book, and we were just releasing it right before the beginning of COVID.
Yeah.
What it was the SoHo Johnny persona, which is, I guess, my alter ego. Okay. And I'm inspired by, you're somewhat of a DC guy, we're more of a Marvel guy like me, but remember Shazam, Billy Batson?
Yes, 100. Yeah.
Billy Batson, right? He goes into the cave, this kid, and all these different mythical gods bestow powers on him. And he turns into this big, burly, like Superman type character called Shazam.
Yeah.
And well, it's kind of like that I get these powers, and the world is depressed. The world is like a COVID world, but we were coming out with this before COVID happened. It's kind of ironic, the timing of this happened. And everything is depressed, and the world kind of lost laughter, lost entertainment. People are going to work with a big puss on, and maybe there's disasters going on. And here I am, this SoHo Johnny guy, and I'm bestowed powers by 3 different people. I forgot exactly what they were, but one was Scott Page, my buddy from Pink Floyd. Okay.
Nice.
The other one was Monty Rock III. He was the DJ in Saturday Night Fever. Okay. Came out with that song, Get Dancing, back in the probably early 70s, and he gave me flamboyance, because you can know anything. He used to be on Johnny Carson and Howard Stern show. And the third one, I believe, if I remember, was Howard Bloom, a famous publicist. Was it Howard Bloom? It was Howard Bloom. And here I am at just with this kind of
on the show.
Yeah. And so I just wave my hands or something, and I bring people kind of that umbilical cord and bring them out of that funk. And that's kind of issue number 1. It's called Mandate for Humanity. That's why I thought about it.
I'm gonna have to find it. That sounds awesome. That sounds
It wasn't on like on a regular stand. It was private sales, whatever. We gave it out like with some of our fundraising, whatever. But we're coming out with a second issue soon, and we want to mix it up a little bit. But
nice. And what we're going to do is we're going to do another. Our Ode to Humanity segment has a couple of games with it. We're now going to do Incoherent. Have you ever played Incoherent?
No, I'm not familiar with it.
All right. So Incoherent, basically, I'm going to hold up a card, and it's going to be in drunken lingo. And you need to try to sound out the card and figure out what it is. We're going to do 3 rounds of it, and there's hints in the back. So if you need hints, let me know. But listen to yourself as you sound it out, and you may be able to figure out what the card says. Can you see that? Okay.
Fitty shits off gray. Fitty shits. Fit he sheds off gray. Fitty sheds off gray. Fit he sheds off gray. Fitty sheds off gray. Fitty sheds off gray.
Would you like a hint?
I think you got me.
Whips and chains is one of the hints.
Fits and jeans. Oh,
no, whips and chains.
Whips and Fitty sheds off gray. Fitty. I can't really make this one out. I can't tell you.
Also, one of the most successful mainstream porno series of all times.
Oh, there was plenty of them.
It was a book, but it was also a movie, which were probably within the last couple of years.
I Am Curious Yellow. That's how far back I go.
Would you like me to tell you what it is?
No, go ahead. Give it to me. I give up.
Do you know what it is, Psycrotes?
50 Shades of Grey.
50 Shades of Grey, yes.
50 Shades of Grey. Well, I never saw that one.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was the name.
Yeah.
But I'm going back to something older than that.
And what do you think that is?
Died botchin hinge. Deed botchel hinge. Deed botchel hinge. Died botchel hinge. Died botchel hinge.
One of the hints is eating soap.
Botulism. Died with
Something young
botulism.
people were doing recently within the last couple of years, which people were like, why are you doing that? Easily the stupidest thing any coroner will have to put as the cause of death.
Oh. Died botulism. Died botual hinge.
Would you like me
Give
to
up, you got me again.
Do you know what it is,
Yeah,
Psychro?
let me see the card. real
No.
quick.
Psychro's gonna look at it, see if he can figure it out.
Died Tide Pods?
Oh, you're close. You're close.
Something Tide.
It's the Tide Pod
Tide Pod
Challenge.
Challenge. I
If you
knew- yes,
remember
I
when
got
all
it, I
those
got
kids
it.
were
Yeah,
eating
yeah,
the
yeah,
Tide
yeah.
Pods or whatever.
Uh-huh.
All right, so we have one last one.
I'm
What do
2
you
for 2, by
think
the way.
that is?
Lay Sunderweyer. Lay Sunderweyer.
Oh, you're so close. You're so
Lay
close.
Sunderweyer. Lay Sunderweyer.
Oh, I know.
Lay Sunder.
One of the
lay
hints
under.
is cheeky
Lay
panty.
sun. Lays under. Like
Cheeky
underwear.
Clothing that defeats the purpose of clothing.
Lace.
Oh,
lace,
that's the first
lace
one.
under. Lace under. Underwaist. Underway. Lace. LACE. Lace under. Lace under underwear.
Yes,
There you go.
yes, it is lace underwear. You got it. Awesome.
I'm a
Now-
fan. I'm a fan of
Yeah,
lace underwear.
yeah. And what we're going to do is we're going to do, what do you mean? So I'm going to hold up a photo, and what you're going to do is you're going to create a meme for that photo. And this was one that we randomly drew out of the deck. So pretty much it's this right here. It's the fat baby standing at the bathtub. What would you think would be a meme for that photo?
What do you mean by a meme?
Like basically you're going to create like a quote. Like, have you ever seen a meme online? Like,
Oh,
pretty much
meme,
like-
meme. Yes,
yeah.
yes. A
So
meme
what-
like a slogan or a saying, you mean?
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Baby fat challenge.
When I do that, I would be the look that you give when you see the waitress bring out the chocolate cake. Yeah.
Oh, what a cute
The
kid.
look on the baby's face, like it's like, yeah, he's holding the tub and he's just looking at it. It's like, yeah, that's the look that you give when the waitress brings out the chocolate cake.
I got one. Can I do
You
a,
got
can,
one? Yeah,
can I do
yeah.
a callback to earlier?
Yeah.
I hope that's not Ian Watkins behind me.
Oh, and then of course we have our segment is called Ode to Humanity. We always end it with Cards Against Humanity. Have you ever heard of Cards Against Humanity?
No, I haven't.
All right, so Cards Against Humanity is a pretty vulgar game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to
It's a very
read off the face card, and then I'm going to give you an option of between 1 to 4. And whichever one you choose, 1, 2, 3, or 4, will randomly answer that card. If you're not satisfied with that answer, you get one other option or what could possibly answer this card. So, as a part of his daily regimen, Anderson Cooper sets aside 15 minutes for blank. Do you want 1, 2, 3, or 4?
3.
3. All right, 3. All right. So, as a part of his daily regimen, Anderson Cooper sets aside 15 minutes for passable transvestites. Are you satisfied with that answer, or do you want to choose another
15
one?
minutes for passable transvestites.
Yes.
Actually, you know, it's funny. When my commercial brokerage was active, we rented out a store for him in Brooklyn, probably about, I don't know, maybe 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Anderson. So no, I'll take another one. Let's go with a 2.
2. All right. So you're going to choose 2. All right. So, as a part of his daily regimen, Anderson Cooper sets aside 15 minutes for teenage pregnancy. And then the other 2
All right.
options.
We'll
other
let it go with that.
Yeah. The other options was Finding Waldo or dropping a chandelier on your enemies and riding the rope up.
That's the best.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to do a second one. So the healing process began when I joined a support group for victims of blank? 1, 2, 3, or 4?
One.
1. All right. So the healing process began when I joined a support group for victims of a sad fat dragon with no friends.
Ooh, that's a depression one.
Yeah. Are you good with
Okay.
that, or do you want a different one?
Let's go to 4.
Let's go to 4. All right.
Give me a
So
4.
the healing process began when I joined a support group for victims of the tiger that killed my father.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Soho, thank you for playing in our Ode to Humanity segment. As I said, that gets a little, over the top and wild, but it's always a hit with our guests. And of course, we're kind of nearing our time a little bit. We're going to let you go pretty shortly. Where can everybody find you, man? Where can they find your stuff and find you online and contribute to a lot of the shows that you do and all the other fun stuff?
Well, thank you for that. SoHo Johnny, SoHoJohnny.com. We have an email list. They could sign up there and we posting all the interesting stuff. SoHo Johnny LLC on Facebook, SoHo Johnny on Instagram, all the usual suspects. Let Me Help Inc.org is our foundation when we're doing charity events and everything. And if anybody has any interesting causes out there, anything, look us up. We'll try, maybe we could do a show or anything. We're always looking to help people in certain ways. And, a couple of labels, Tribeca Records, Soho Records. We have some wonderful talent people that are on our labels that are really, really doing very, very well and fantastic. And a shout out to them. April Rose Gabrielli, Krisha, Randy Edelman, he's such
we
a
have Randy on the show as well.
You had Randy, brilliant guy. I love him to death. And several Animazex, our metal bands, like, I hate to say like a Kiss, but they're doing well. But, it all, listen, every day is a blessing and a gift. The breath of love is conducted through through musical expression, right? It's on my website. And it's a matter of just coming together. So that's where you could find us, full entertainment platform for anybody looking to do a show or obviously want to open up a pop-up in West Village or Greenwich or Soho, come give us a shout. We'll try to help you. We also help out retailers too, it's because retail took a big hit here too.
Oh yeah. Retail.
Again, thank you guys for even having me on the show.
Oh, no problem, man. And have you ever considered, I know you do a lot of charity stuff. Have you ever considered doing a wrestling show, man? Like it's very, it's relatively easy getting a hold of an independent company. If you ever do a wrestling show, let me know. I will be more than willing to come up for free. And, I don't wrestle, monthly anymore. I'm pretty much retired. Actually, my Hall of Fame award is right there from, the company I wrestled for close to 20 years.
Well, I'm so glad that you brought that up because I was going to ask you, and it could be after show during now, because I'd love to be able to collaborate with you. Wrestling is, I actually brought it up not too long ago to Jimmy and Eileen and to the team. Yeah. And, try to some of the tie in there because that's a lot of fun too. At the end of the day, that's what it is. Just keeping the lifetime experience elevated, lighthearted, and, bringing it together. So I love to do it. I work with Alex McCarthy. I mentioned it before. Yeah. He got me set up with my setup here because we're in our studio, Soho Innovative Studio at 53 Worcester Street. Right now, as we're televising, because I was in Soho. And so we'll be able to hook you up with Alex and we'll put something together. It would be my pleasure and my blessing to work with.
There's a celebrity bodyguard we know named Bubba Almany. He just did a celebrity basketball game and he had Terrell Owens, a bunch of other people that did the basketball game. And he's actually somewhat, considering maybe doing a wrestling show somewhere down the line. So maybe we can get you guys and he can.
I have spaces too that might, well, it depends on how big the audience is, but we have a very pregnant, we got a nice, beautiful outdoor space in West Village that we could offer.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Dude, let me know. I will 100% come down and do it 100% for free. We were promoted on the podcast and, all that stuff as well. Especially me, I have the wrestling background. So, even if you guys do it out your way, or if you consider coming out our way and doing it, I have a lot of contacts. So
where do you hail from?
We're in Baltimore. So
where?
Baltimore.
Oh, Baltimore. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and okay. I know a handful of promoters, and maybe one of the promoters, he'd be willing to go out your way and, even put on a show, but he's the one, he would tell you, be like, hey, this is what, you need to do. This is what the cost would be for something like that. And, pretty much a lot of guys, they do it. It's considered a bought show. Like you guys will be like, hey, this is how much we'll charge you to do the show. We'll provide all the talent, if you want any big names or anything like that. And then pretty much whatever you make off tickets is yours. So, that's just the whole thing. But yeah, if you're ever interested, just, definitely shoot us a message. And, anybody listening or watching at home, if you want to, SoHo Johnny, also, we're following on Instagram, Twitter, we're friends with him on Facebook. So you can also connect to him, that way as well via our friends. So
John at SoHoJohnny.com is actually email addresses, and I'd love to collaborate with that. We could tie in a little bit, but let me help the foundation maybe gets a percentage or something and in-house, and just choose a charity that, we decide on just getting some money out of it, just have a great time, entertain the audience, and do something noble as well. It's wonderful. That's a great idea. I'd love to do it.
Yeah. The one company that I know the owner, he's Maryland Championship Wrestling. And they can get guys like Matt Hardy, some of the guys from AEW currently. I don't know how it ranks with his contract, but Adam Cole. Adam Cole, I don't know if you know who that is. He's in AEW. He was in WWE. I was Adam Cole's second match in Maryland when he first started wrestling. So, it'd be cool to have someone like him on the show. And, just, hey, let me know, man. I'll get you guys hooked up with any contacts you need. And I guess what we're going to do, man, is we're going to go ahead and let you get out of here. Me and Psycrotes are going to hang out probably for about another 10, 20 minutes or so. But what we're going to do real quick is for everybody that's watching at home, they'll be able to see this. Would you just be able to say, hey, this is SoHo Johnny, and you're listening to the Happy Hour podcast so we can play it on our audio episodes?
Absolutely. You tell me when.
Awesome. Whenever you're ready, brother.
Hey, this is SoHo Johnny, and you're listening to the Happy Hour broadcast.
Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it. We will we'll stay in touch. Definitely let me know what's going on. And we're going to go ahead and let you get out of here. For those of you watching us live on YouTube, we're going to go ahead and keep on rolling. And for those of you on an audio episode, we're probably going to give you another 10, 15 minutes or so of content. SoHo Johnny, thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you, my brother.
All right.
Everybody put a smile on someone else's face tomorrow morning when you wake up.
Yep. And that's all that matters. You make sure you keep on smiling and hang out. Thank you, SoHo. We appreciate it. We'll catch up later, man.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was SoHo Johnny. Of course, we're going to keep on going here live on Facebook Live with our actual broadcast. SoHo, what a great dude.
Very cool dude.
Yeah, what a very cool dude. Like, some of the charities that he has or whatever and all that. And that would be a cool notch in my belt. Dude, being able to come out of retirement and wrestling.
Maybe even get managed by a high priest.
Yeah. And dude, like that's the thing. It's like, tying the show into stuff like that. And SoHo Johnny, what a great guy, putting out a lot of efforts. And of course, shout out to Aline Shapiro, will be our very special guest on Friday. We'll be live once again right here on YouTube. And for those of you listening to us live, we will be back next week with Elaine Shapiro for our very special guest. She's gotten us all of our guests. She's got us Jerry Nelson. She's got us Randy Edelman, also Jimmy Starr. Shout out to him. He owns Star World PR. You name them, a lot of our guests recently, they've been able to get them for us. Sadie Katz, who we had on recently as well. Those are all guests through, their PR company. We're going to be working exclusively with them, moving forward. They have a lot of people that they can get on. And I'm going to be very interested to talk to Elaine too, seeing some of the experiences she's had, Jimmy Starr was really cool as well. But
we're still trying to get Jay Bowler. We're still working on that.
Yeah. And actually,
we're not going to promise anything. But we're working on it.
And coming up, some of the things coming up, of course, in November. November is going to be a very busy month for us as well. Some of the things coming up in November. For the first time on November 19th, we're going to have our very first Friendsgiving episode, which is going to feature me, Matt, and some of me and Matt's buddies that are going to be joining us live for our Friendsgiving episode. We're going to have another cam model by the name of Addie Lee. She's going to be joining us on the program. Roses Unread, who's, a local band, they're going to be joining us as well. And then when we move into December, one of the things that stand out in December is, I don't know if you've ever heard of the website Mr. Skin, but Mr. Skin will be joining us on the podcast as well, which I am looking very forward to that. And of course, we'll be heading into the Christmas season then. And coming up shortly, we will be releasing our very exclusive Happy Hour Podcast Thanksgiving t-shirt.
And it's a good
which,
one.
yeah, which is a good one, which is, it's our current logo on all of our social media, which is a knockoff of the 1993 Survivor Series poster, which features myself, my guest co-host today, Psycrotes, Bob Starr, and of course the Baltimore Butcher Blood. And that should be released. I'm probably
legends.
hopefully tomorrow night, if not the night after. I will have that together, and that will be available on our Teespring. Make sure you go out, get our merchandise.
If you're just walking down the street and you're rocking a shirt
that
has the High Priest, Chase Rollins, Blood, and Bob Starr,
someone may
bitches are going to be like, "Oh my God, I want to fuck that guy."
Yeah, they may do that, or they may very well just beat the shit out of you for no reason at all, because one of those guys may very well have heat with somebody on your shirt. And also keep in mind that
it might be the High Priest. I'm throwing it out there.
We are going to also, starting in January, we're going to be starting another sub show, which will go hand in hand with Fully Fermented. As we know, Fully Fermented is our vintage episode. Our vintage episode this month, once it gets released, I still need to edit it together, but for the month of November, is going to be our vintage interview with comedian Lavelle Crawford. So we will be releasing that shortly, probably, hopefully tomorrow or the next day as well. And we will be releasing a new series called the Happy Hour Podcast Roundtable. I have, for January, that's going to start in January, I've already talked to a couple of people for that. And the first one, I'm going to try to have Bob Starr, Chad Austin, and Ruckus. If anybody, a couple of local guys I know, they've also done a bunch of stuff for other companies. Ruckus,
if you're a Maryland fan, you know who he is.
If you're a Maryland fan, or Ruckus, he's also been in Wrestle Society X, Ring of Honor.
Another fun fact about Ruckus.
What's
in
that?
His first match, or in the High Priest first match.
Yeah.
I defeated Ruckus. Just throw that out there.
You defeated Ruckus. And of course, Bob Starr, who was in WWF and WCW. Chad Austin. Yeah, Maryland. Chad Austin.
Chad Austin, former ECW star, from Smoky Mountain worker.
Yep. And I mean, that's the thing. So you get those three guys together.
Plus you and me. I mean,
plus us. And it's going to be 100% uncensored. So these guys, these guys are going to be able to say whatever the fuck they want, and it's going to be a wrestling themed episode. And then I'm also going to try to do one in February, March, April, every month, but it's going to have guests that have a lot of stuff in common. Like, we may very well, not saying that's 100%, but I'm going to try to get Sarah J, Lauren Phillips, maybe Karen Fisher, all in one episode, and it'll be all themed stuff. And of course, we'll include our games and other fun stuff as well as an extra, for everybody watching at home. I mean, it's
what other podcast are you going to get this from? You're getting everything. You're getting High Priest poetry. You're getting SoHo Johnny. You're getting
the Urban Dictionary term of the day, which you can only get on our pre-show. So for everybody listening at home, keep in mind the Urban Dictionary term of the day. Also, make sure you go over to www.thehhpod.com and buy some merchandise. We have all kinds of, we have that amazing, shout out to Steve. Actually, shout out to Steve Freeman. Steve Freeman is putting on an art show in November. We are going to be there live November 27th. It will be the third time that we will be airing live from a live location. We will not be doing it like the way we did it.
That's right, because we did Hysteria.
And we did Hysteria. We did Jimmy's, and now we will be at Marsky Bar. So shout out to Steve Freeman. He will be at Marsky Bar. We will also be interviewing a very special guest as well, which is yet to be announced, via Zoom, who will be coming to us from Alaska that day. So very special guest.
Is it Sarah Palin?
No, it is not Sarah Palin. So, but make sure you stay tuned for that. That will be live, a YouTube exclusive on November 27th, live from the Marsky Bar, right here in Baltimore, Maryland. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And
we're not going to promise anything, but at some
Psycrotes is going to make promises of stuff that I may not potentially know about yet.
No, at some point on the podcast, we may have a very special guest, possibly Mike Blair.
Yes.
Not
Mike Blair may very well join us again on the podcast. And actually, what's funny is his wife today texted me and was like, "Hey, can you sell something on eBay for me?" So I have heard more recently from her than what I have from him. So he is still somewhere MIA, missing in action.
Somewhere in the ether.
So somewhere in this universe, there is a Mike Blair lurking. And trust me, when I say lurking, he is lurking somewhere.
Lurking like Ian Watkins at a preschool.
And he may have potentially peed his pants. We can't confirm or deny, but he allegedly may have peed his pants somewhere.
I'm not going to lie. When we did the pre-show,
Yeah.
I had to pee really bad.
Yeah.
Because if you notice, as soon as we started the regular show, and Johnny
You were like, I gotta
I ran
go.
to the
Yeah,
bathroom because I was like, I can't disclose because I'm not wearing my diaper.
yeah.
So I don't want to make a mess of Ray's
Yeah,
face.
you don't want to exorcist piss
No.
all over the place. Like it just
No.
comes through your pants. And like I'm sitting here, you
Like,
just see me.
like Matty Paul at the Victory Lounge.
Yes. You see me just getting golden showered while we're talking to
You
SoHo Johnny.
wouldn't be the first one.
And I probably will not be the last one, unlike that poor girl that's buried in Psycrotes' backyard. Make sure you remember, listen to the pre-show. He had a confession. Make sure you listen to his confession
I did not
for
specify.
killing that young girl.
Hey, can I recite the final 2 lines of that poem? again?
Yes.
Because
yes,
for the
you can.
record,
You can.
there is not an explicit reference
And
to
keep in
who's in the
mind
casket.
for those of
line
you
was-
listening at home, this is an exclusive. You have to tune into our YouTube, and the
Yeah,
pre-show
yeah.
part of this full episode on YouTube in order to see this.
The line was, the grass is green, the dirt is brown, the casket is closed, the first piece I found. That does not specify who's in the casket. Maybe I found the piece, maybe some thought found the piece.
Yes, I'm
It could be.
believing it was some thought because our allegations are correct. But anyways, what we're gonna do is
But seriously though, like you said, the merchandise, like you guys, if you can, support
Yeah.
the show because let me say it.
Yeah.
Ray, my boy Ray, he puts a lot of work into this thing.
Yeah.
I just show up and run my mouth. He's got to book the guests, he's got to edit,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
got to put everything together. He puts a lot of work into it, it really does.
Yeah.
So, if you guys can support the show, buy some merch, go out and do it, man.
Yeah.
And if you do, I will give you even more exclusive content that you will not
Yeah.
get anywhere else.
And if you don't, then you may end up in that casket that Psycrotes is talking about. He has a big giant backyard. He can fit many
bring
of
this up.
bodies there.
Did you see they just identified one of John Wayne Gacy's victims?
Really?
Yes,
Just now.
Just now.
Late breaking news.
Yeah.
One of John Gacy's victims
I
has
saw
been
this-
identified right now
It
this
was-
second,
it was-
according to
It
Psycrotes.
was like over the weekend, a few days ago. And they used DNA. And it's been like 45 years.
Yeah.
They actually identified one of the victims from under his basement.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy shit, the world that we live in. So
And that's why I take precautions.
Yeah.
You're not identifying anybody.
Yeah.
under the high priest basement.
Psycrotes is ripping out all the teeth and disposing of this and burning the fingerprints
It's gonna
off.
be. By the time I'm done, it's gonna look like Brian Laundrie's skull.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So, anyways, with that, we're going to go ahead. We're going to wrap up our weekly audio episode. Of course, you will hear us again. It will be airing simultaneously on Spotify, iHeart, iTunes,
everywhere.
Amazon, everywhere you can find our podcast. It will be airing simultaneously with Elaine Shapiro's episode.
We're like a thought. We really get around.
And for those of you watching us live, we will be back again Friday at 8 o'clock, 5 o'clock Central Time, live with Elaine Shapiro. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up.
When we wrap it up, as always, I have to end with an Amity Affliction lyric because that's how we do it.
Yes,
now.
let's do
do
it.
every show.
Let's just go ahead. Let her rip.
I am lost right now as the ocean deep.
And that ends our episode, ladies and gentlemen.
Credit to Joel
We
Birch and Eric
will
Stringer.
see you next time. All right,
There we
so the
go.
live stream is done.
Oh.
All
No.
right.